Okay. Adutangire gahunda yacu. Nubwo abantu bagumye gutinda. Okay, mbere yuko dutangira reka twiyegereze Mama Richard adusengere kugira ngo dutangire gahunda yacu.
Pray. Mana turagushimiye turaguhimbaje muri iki gicamunsi c'umunsi turagushimiye kuko abanye natwe ukaturinda ukaba uduhaye aka kanya keza ko kuza guhurira ahangaha data uri mu ijuru kugira ngo tubashe kuganira ibiganiro byiza byo kutwubaka byo kubaka abana bacu. Turagushimiye data uri mu ijuru umukozi wawe watanze akemera kuduheza umwanya wiwe w'agaciro kenshi kugira ngo aze data wera kuduhugura no guhugura abasore bacu kugira ngo babashe kugira ico bogeraho muri iki gihe data wera. Ndagusaba ngo ibi biganiro mana bisasire bigwe ku butaka bwiza abana bacu babyungukiremwo abavyeyi tuvyungukiremwo mana bazagira akamaro muri iki gihugu bagira akamaro ku bavyeyi babo bagira akamaro ku gihugu cacu twasize mana data wera niwe tubisavye byose ubidutegurire neza kubwa Yesu umucunguzi.
Amen. Arakoze cyane ku isengesho. Mbere yuko dutangira ndabanza mbiyegereze mwebwe mwese. Yegereje urubyiruko rwa hano muri Arizona muri Phœnix, abavuye hano muri Maricopa County n'abavuye mu zindi counties n'abavuye ahandi hariho hose mwaturutse ndavuze ngo mwegere. Nongeye kandi kwegereza ubuyobozi bwacu ababonye umwanya wo kugera hano ndavuze ngo mwegere namwe dusangire ibi biganiro byiza by'urubyiruko. Niyegereje abari ku buhanga bw'ibyuma namwe mwegere dusangire ibi bintu. Kubw'umwihariko niyegereje Dr. Kaniki kuko yafashe urugenzi rutari rugufi, urugenzi rurerure cyane, akemera impamagazi yacu akaza akatwemerera akaza akaba ari hano nawe turakwegereje ngo wegere. Kuko mubizi ikiduteranyije uyu munsi twarabigambiriye turabiteganya kuri uyu munsi none bikaba birasohoye no kubishima Imana ko byabaye. Ibiganiro by'urubyiruko azobakubiyemo amakuru menshi kandi dushaka ko buri wese yumva ategere, urakuramo amakuru menshi, urakuramo ibitekerezo utaruzi byinshi, wenda uratekerezamo n'ibindi byinshi. Kuri ubwo mwegere mwese dusangira ibi bintu. Niba turi live naho twiyegereje abadukurikira hirya no hino hano muri Amerika n'ahandi hose baba badukurikiye kuri uno mwanya nabo turabiyegereje ngo baze dusangire muri ibi biganiro. Twari dufite abatumirwa bacu, n'umwe ni Dr. Kaniki, twaramutekereje tubona n'umuntu ufite inararibonye mu bintu byinshi bitandukanye, ari mu bintu bya education, ari ibintu by'ibindi byose byo mu gihugu iwacu n'ahandi hose. Tubona ko ari ngombwa ko twamutumira akaza hano iwacu muri Phœnix kugira ngo abashe kuganira n'urubyiruko. Hariho amakuru menshi tutari tuzi, hariho ama opportunity menshi ya hano muri Amerika tutazi, ariko tumaze gukorana ibiganiro nawe hari ibyo tuza gukuramo. Kaba mbasaba rero mubitegere kandi mubikurikire, ahari wenda hari ababikuramo ibisubizo by'ibibazo bibazaga, hari n'abakuramwo amasomo menshi ateganyaga. Ah, ndatwaye umwanya muremure, nari mfite kwiyegereza iriki, ariko ko ndabona ntawe urashika kandi ntidusubiza gahunda zacu inyuma, ubwo ndahita mpagurutsa Dr adufashe mu biganiro byose. Kuri ubwo reka tumwiyegereze. Karibu Dr, umwanya ni wawe.
On. Sorry. Man, I'm from Bishigo, so nishimiye kubana namwe mugoroba. Kandi nizeye ko turi bugirane ibihe byiza. Reka nshimire abayobozi bantumiye, binteye icyubahiro cyinshi no gucishwa bugufi, kuba mu mwanya wanyu ngo tuganire. Reka mbaze hano ni bangahe batumva icyongereza? Abatumva icyongereza kugira ngo dukomeze mu Kinyarwanda, Kinyamurenge, cyangwa bumva dukoresheje mu cyongereza ni bande bovunika? Arabahari? Okay, so we can speak in English, right? Okay. I asked the other way around. I wanted to know if anybody would be uncomfortable if we use the English only. So let's speak in English. We will mix because we can speak more than one language, but let's take English as our main language for this afternoon. I was just saying that it's an honor. I'm honored, but also I'm humbled to be here this afternoon. And I thank the committee here for thinking of me as someone who could come and share something today. And thank you all for sparing such a precious time to be here, so we can discuss, we can share experiences, we can talk about life. And I don't intend this to be just a presentation and questions and answers. I want this to be an interactive session. I want to learn from you as much as you would learn from me. I want us to share our experiences. Is Dr. Indatwa here today? Oh? Okay. So we are in America. We share something in common here today. One thing we share in common is that we came from Africa, all of us, or our parents came from Africa. And looking at you, I think we all share the fact that we came from Africa. And we also share the fact that we live in America. That's something that can be taken as an advantage, but it can also be taken as an obstacle to overcome. In many situations, we find ourselves to be coming from Africa as being an obstacle to reaching our potential or our goals, because we have so much to overcome in our workplace, in school. Our English is approximate, not not to the optimum level. And it's not just English. We have some cultural shock. When we look at our parents, there is some generational gap. And those are issues that we deal with on a daily basis. These issues we face every day, but there is also an advantage. I always consider myself the fact that I came from Africa and I've been in America now for 19 years. I feel balanced because I know Africa and I know America. I have, part of me is African, and when I say African, I mean real African, and part of me is American. And I can continue to make progress in both directions mutually. It's not exclusive. When we came to America, whether you have been here for 10 years or 5 years or 20 years, we learned about the American dream. And everyone has a definition of the American dream. If you take it to Google, it will give you an interpretation of the American dream. But for us today here, let's just focus that part of the American dream is that it gives you the right to pursue happiness. It's not just the right to life, but also the pursuit of happiness. Pursuit of success. It means you are all created equal. At some point, you have all the same opportunities. You are equal in the face of law, and you can all aspire to the same success, the same happiness. You can also face the same challenges, that there is nothing that's just you. Yeah, thank you very much for working on that. So as we pursue happiness, we find ourselves challenged. Challenged because we are new in this country. And these are not something new. I'm not teaching you anything by saying that in this country you have challenges that other kids, other American kids that you find here do have. You have things that you share, challenges that you share, but there are also challenges that are just specific to you and your category or people like you. However, what this country gives us is the ability to define yourself, the ability to look in yourself and find that potential that has never come out and unleash that beast, unleash that potential to become who you want to become. Life is like a piece of paper that is blank, and you have the pen and you are writing your life on it. Whatever you write is what happens. Unfortunately, it's not just a draft. Once you're done, you're done. What you write, you write. There is no erasing, select, delete, and rewrite. No, you write and you write on a piece of paper, and that defines your life. So the ability to define ourselves, the ability to take advantage of all the opportunities that lie behind us, in front of us. But why don't we take those advantages? A, because most of the time we don't believe on ourselves. We have the fear of failure. There is a self-doubt. There are so many things that we see, and before we even try, they die within us before we even get to make the first move. Because you look at it and you say, ibise ko ari by'Abanyamerika, nanje ibingibi nobikora, ndi mwene nde. You negotiate with yourself until you kill the ambition within you. Let's stop that negotiation because it ain't helping us at all. There are many things that we failed to try because we negotiated with ourselves and decided not to even try. And because we did not try, we will never know we could have succeeded or not. And we know that. You guys are so quiet. Yes. Yes. Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. And I'll be seen as as an outside. I'm getting more outside the bubble, right? Yeah, I do agree with you. So the challenges we face, some challenges come within us, from within us. We are afraid to try. We 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 examine ourselves. We examine ourselves and we realize that we cannot. We are our own judges. Some of the obstacles come from that generational gap. Your thoughts and your understanding right now is different from your parents' understanding because you two grow in um, two different systems. Your parents grew up in Africa. Most of them were behind cattle, and that was their lives. And they cannot pretend at any second to understand the life you live now or the challenges you are facing today. So you find yourself within a generational gap. That's one thing. You also find yourself living a Mulenge life with your family, your community, but also the life with your friends and this is not Corona, okay? But you also find yourself pursuing a life with your role models that are not necessarily from your community, people you know at work or at school, people you look up to, and you look at them, you feel like, I need to become like that someone. Sometimes the road that takes you there is a road that is not necessarily accepted or welcomed or even you don't feel the help of your family or your community. That I do understand as well. So there are challenges from many aspects, but let's focus on your own obstacles that come from you. Right now, later on, we'll talk about the influence of your community. Thank you. So, failure, fear of failure. How many times have you cultivated an ambition within you, and then a week later, that ambition dies within you because you were afraid to try, to give it a try? So many times, right? If I lie, just raise your hand and say, hey, you're lying. That has never happened to me. You'll be a hero. I have a son that plays basketball. When he was little, right now, he has gotten better, but even before, when he was in elementary school, he was playing basketball, and that boy can shoot. He's too small, he's skinny, but he can shoot. So we went to a game, and he was shooting every single ball he was getting. It's like passing is not part of basketball. Like for him, passing was not an option. Every single ball he was getting, he was shooting. And so I called him. As a parent, I felt like I needed to talk to him. So I called him and I said, David, you need to pass the ball, okay? This is a team, you know, you need to be a team player. You need to share the ball. And he understood, and so he said, okay, I'll do that. Then he started passing the ball. And at some point, the score went really low. Then I didn't know the coach had instructed him to shoot the ball. So the coach called him on the side, and I didn't know this until later on. He said, what did I tell you, David? I told you to shoot the ball. You get the ball, you shoot. So a few minutes later, he started shooting again. He didn't pass, and I was like, he forgot what I told him? Then at some point, I told him, son, you gotta pass the ball. No, he said, Dad, the coach told me to shoot. Then later on, when we were discussing, he repeated to me what the coach had told him, which stuck to my mind until today. He said that the coach told me every time I try and I shoot, I have 50% chance that that ball goes in or goes out, right? So when you try, there is that eventuality that you can succeed or you can fail. But if you don't try, there is that not eventuality, but there is that absolutely fact that it's not going in because you did not shoot.
That's right.
Right?
That's right.
Good. Let's shoot the ball then. So we have challenges, and sometimes we look at ourselves, we feel like something is missing because I don't know if you are like me, certainly you have seen people in life who are more talented than you. You have seen people who are better educated than you. You've seen people that are smarter than you. That's something that everyone has seen around him or her. However, what I believe is we may not have the same talent. We may not have the same background. We may not be as smart at the same level. But what I believe, we have the same capacity to commit and to persevere. If I commit to something and I persevere, that capacity is within all of us. Second, we have the same ability to believe in ourselves. And if I have those three, I can commit, I can persevere in my commitment, and I believe in myself, the sky is the limit. So what lacks is, how can I commit to something? How can I believe in myself? And you don't believe in yourself because there are no other people around you that are smarter. No, no. I believe in myself because I know that I can work hard and achieve. And so we need to build ourselves. When I started, I said we are coming from a different country in Africa. No matter what country you come from, there's a country you came from in Africa, and there's another country you live in today. And no matter what, you may be American by choice, but the blood that flows within your vein is still Congolese, whether you like it or not. So it's not even a choice. You are who you are, and you're not going to change it. The country from which we came is a country that is facing more and more political and social issues. And those issues are calling upon us to make that country a better place to live for tomorrow. And that country, unfortunately, we cannot be helpful to others unless we are at the same certain level. You can only help those that are under you. You can't help someone who is above you. So there is a need to build yourself up in order to be useful to others. Okay? You cannot pretend to help me unless you are in a situation that's desirable considering me. If you are in a desirable situation compared to me, then you can help me. But if you can't help yourself, I don't expect you to help me. So consider yourself in this country as someone who came to better yourself so you can be helpful to others. And how do you better yourself? Let me just share something with you. I don't compete with anyone. I do not compete with anyone. I compete against myself. I look at me, Freddie, and I look at Freddie from last year. And I say, how is Freddie today better than Freddie from yesterday? Competing against someone else will be like chasing your own tail, like a dog chasing its tail. It's like running behind the wind, trying to catch the wind. No, but competing against myself means that I work hard to become the best that I can. Check yourself within you and say, am I the best I can be? Am I today who I can be? Am I satisfied? So there is a need to build yourself. And it doesn't just fall from the sky. Every single decision you make every single day or every single hour builds up to make you the person you become. Every single, if you're write this down. Every single decision you make in life and every single thing you do contributes, builds up to make you the person you become. What you are today is a fair product of the decision you made last week, last month, last year, and the year before. So what you're doing with your life will tell you what you will become tomorrow. I tell people that there are so many ways you can become successful. There are so many ways you can become rich. I can win a lottery and become a millionaire overnight, but there is no guarantee that that's happening. I like to think it's gonna happen in my lifetime, and every day that passes brings me closer to that lottery. But until then, I am who I am, and it's not changing. And I cannot borrow money against that lottery that I'm going to win. I can't even take loan from the bank against the lottery that I'm hoping to win. But I can take loan against an education that I'm going through. I can take a loan against a degree that I'm earning in 4 years. So some things are guaranteed, some things are not guaranteed. Education is a foundation to a successful life. Are we together? Education is a foundation to a successful life. There are many other ways I can go by, but those ways will not guarantee me success. It's possible, I can, and this is what I tell my son. His dream is to play in NBA one day, and I say, son, that day I will quit my job, but until then, I'm gonna work hard. For you, I want you to know this. On that draft day, your name may come up or may not come up. But as long as you're studying, on that commencement day, your name will come up. So, can I grab something that I have rather than chasing something that's far away from me? Yes, I will chase what I can chase, but I grab what I can grab as well. Education is a foundation to a successful life. On Christmas of 2001, someone came to visit with me. You know how people come on Christmas and they come at the workplace, like in a hospital? They just come and distribute Christmas cards or gifts. So a girl came to me. It was in 2001. I was still very young. Someone came to me and said, I have a Christmas card for you. And she gave me a card. And unfortunately, I didn't even ask her name or her contact number. And that card, the significance of that card never appeared to me or appealed to me until later on. That card said this: you have two choices in life. You can consider everything that happens to you as a miracle, or you can consider life as a miracle and believe in everything that happens to you as a miracle. Or you can consider that there is no miracle and that everything that happens to you depends on you. At that point, I did not understand that much. But later on, I read about it, and there's a long philosophy behind it, the fatalists and the determinists. People who believe that everything is a miracle. They believe in providence. They believe that, if it was meant to be, it's going to happen. If I was to become a doctor, I will become a doctor. If I was to become a lawyer, I will become a lawyer. If it was written, if it meant to be, then it's going to happen. And you can also think that if I want to become a lawyer, I need to go to law school. I need to start working towards the goal that I want to achieve. I'm not saying I don't believe in providence or in God's miracle, but until that miracle comes, I will work for what I want to become. I will work for what I want to achieve. People have different level of ambitions. Some people feel like their dream is to become nyumba kumi. I'm sorry, man. And others feel like my dream is to become a governor. The other one thinks that, my goal in life is to become the mayor. And another one is aspiring for president. I'm just trying to create the differences in people's ability to even desire. Some people are allergic to desire. Like, they can't even desire something that great. Every time a great idea comes or a thought comes to their mind, they shrink. Oh my God, no, that's not me. Where is that thought coming from? Because you think of yourself. When you think about yourself, you see yourself so low that you can't allow yourself to think great. Nothing is going to happen unless it starts with a thought in your mind and it builds up to achieving. All that exists today started as an idea in someone's head. And when that person conceived the idea and decided it was feasible and that he was committed and he was going to persevere and he was going to believe in himself, then that thing happened. Until then, it's just an idea that can appear today and disappear in a day. But But we all have the same capacity to, as I said, to believe in ourselves, and to commit to what we want to achieve or what we want to see us become tomorrow. Life is a book that you are the author of. You can make that book a fiction. You can make that book a novel. You can write whatever you want in that book. Remember the kids you went to school with in elementary school. Many took a different path. You are here today because you chose your path. You are the results of your decisions and the things that you did. Tomorrow depends on what you're doing today. If I ask you where you want to be in 10 years, I hope you all have an answer. And that will only come if you commit yourself to doing so. One other aspect that I would like to discuss. What is the definition of success? When do we say that someone is successful? What's the level above which everyone is successful, under which everyone who is under that level is not successful? Your answer is just as good as mine. I'll take a guess. My guess is that level doesn't exist. Definition of success is relative. And I only reach success based on the goals that I envisioned, right? But one other aspect that's very, very important that we need to keep in mind about success is that success, let me say this in a way that you will remember. Success is never owned. It's rented. And the rent is due every day, and it's called hard work. I'll give you an example. In 1995, I received my high school diploma. It was the highest grade, or like, you know how, you guys know what examen d'etat is, right? I'm sure that these people in the front know what examen d'etat is. It was the highest mark we were in South Kivu province back then. I was so popular. We used to do this game on the radio where schools compete. We go to the radio and a journalist will ask questions and we will respond, and one school will win over the other. And I used to memorize half of the encyclopedia. I was very popular. Kids on the street, every time I pass on the street, they would say, "That's Freddy." No, that can't be Freddy. That's like, and so I was so proud of myself. I felt like I was so successful. That degree was like, I was on the mountaintop, Rushmore. But today, if you ask me, where is your high school degree, that paper, that piece of paper, I swear I don't even know where it is. I don't know if it's in the trash somewhere. I don't know if it's in the box. I've moved from houses to houses, maybe 15 houses from 1995 to today. I don't know where that piece of paper is. But back then, it was something I was so proud of. And I was on the Mountain Rushmore. I was like, you know, I view myself as a successful man. Yesterday's trophy can be today's trash if it's not maintained. Right? Yesterday's trophy can be today's trash if it's not maintained. If I had decided, because I was so successful as a high school graduate, and I had decided that I've achieved, I'm sitting down now and enjoy my success, will I still be successful today? I don't think so. So whatever level you are at, you can be successful, you can consider yourself successful, and others can consider you successful, but that success needs some maintenance work. That success is not owned. You are renting it, and rent is due every day. It's called hard work. Are we still together? I might be saying things you don't want to hear, but bear with me. I'm leaving tomorrow. In order to maintain that success, there is a price to pay. There are decisions you will make. Some decisions are light, some decisions are really, really heavy to make. But life cannot be always easy, right? Yeah, if everything was so easy to choose and it was very, very light, then the price wouldn't be that high. The price is high as the work you put in is hard, right? So let me just give you an example. I came in this country 20 years ago. I had just graduated from pharmacy school. This was April 16, 2000. Then a year later or two, I had a baby. I was married, I had a baby, and before I knew it, I had a second baby. I had two babies, and life was really hard. Back then, by 2002, there were not so many Banyamulenge in this country that you could count them on your fingertips. There were very few. So nta kuvuga ngo ndaje gusiga umwana kwa kanaka nyuma nje ku ishuri nimva ku kazi nje kumutora. Are we together? Yes. And so it was very challenging. So my wife was home taking care of the babies, and I was working at the hospital as a pharmacist. I decided to pursue a doctorate in pharmacy. It wasn't an easy decision. First of all, I had to take a loan. Second is I had to cut down my hours, working hours, so I can go to school while I'm working. Not to mention that I had a family to feed, right? I had a rent to pay, I had bills to pay, and so on. But when I looked at my life, I felt like it was the right thing to do. But when I looked at my conditions, I felt like this was a selfish decision to make because it's insurmountable. It's something that's so high I can't achieve. Like even my fingertips are not touching because it was so hard. And I slept on that decision for weeks. And one time, I decided I should do it. But that decision was coming from so far away that I needed to condition myself. I woke up in the morning, I said, before I think twice, I went to the school website and I made a payment. Because I made a payment, I can't back up again. Sometimes we need to condition ourselves because the decision is so hard, especially if you don't have someone to encourage you. What I'm trying to say here is that you are luckier than I was. There are so many people in your community that can give you advice. We all have those people we look up to. We all have those people that we admire, that we look at and we say, that we look at and we say, hey, this is who I want to become. This is someone that whose life path I would like to go through. This is someone I really admire. This is a life I would like to live. However, that someone may not necessarily be from your family. And I'm not trying to rebel you from your parents. But if my father doesn't understand what my ambitions are, I don't need to look up to him. I can look up to him as far as becoming a man or a woman of value, you know, the human values. But I can look at my professor at school because he has something that I would like to aspire to. Life is a journey. And the road you are taking, someone has taken that road before you. And so many people will take the road after you. The most important part is to know who has taken that road before you and what can he tell you about the road. It's not all smooth. There are parts of the road that are bumpy. If I can have someone who tells me where it's bumpy and what to do when it becomes bumpy, then I will do it, and I'll be very happy to do it. So there is a way we live in community and we look up to each other. At some point, we feel like we are at the same level. We all do the same job. My aunt works at this company. My uncle works at this, my cousin. So we are all at the same level, and it doesn't challenge you. You lack something that challenges you to become the best you can be. And believe me, you have some potential that you don't even know you have. Let me give you an example. We're all strong here. Someone has some level, everyone here has some level of strength, right? But we don't know how strong you are. But if we put weight here from 5 pounds all the way to 100 pounds, and you start lifting 5, 10, 20, you get to 100, 150, 200, at some point you will know exactly your limit, right? But you can never know your limit unless you put it to try. You can never know your potential unless that potential is put to work. Just because I'm potentially strong doesn't mean I am unless I put that strength into action. So there is so much within you that can only come out when there is a need. It's on a need basis. That need will come out because you get inspired by someone. And here I'm going to tell you, leave your community in terms of inspiration. Try to find inspiration elsewhere. The world is becoming a small global world. When I went to do my doctorate in pharmacy, I didn't know any of my community that had done that before. But I knew my coworkers that had done that before. You don't need to inspire yourself from your uncle. No. If he has something to inspire you, that's great. But if the inspiration can come from somewhere else, then I would challenge you to inspire yourself from someone else. You don't have to stick within your community. But as I told you, you're lucky today because there are so many other people within your community that have done great things that can inspire you. Anybody has a question so far? Yes. I don't have YouTube here, but if you get a question from YouTube, then let me know. There is a question, and any more question?
Hello? Hello? So in a sense, it's still the same question. You're almost telling a bird to fly while it's still in a cage, right? You're telling us to go and leave the community. First and foremost, we know that's not easy at all. That's extremely difficult. And we all understand that, especially as younger kids, they can't just up and leave and move out or anything like that. So they can't go and chase on this dream. So what steps would you, or what advice would you give those kids? Like, yeah, you're telling us to just go and chase that dream that we have, but we still have to deal with the parents that we live with, and we're in the same household with, we're supposed to respect. Like right now, we're in a church, and so if we're supposed to respect our fathers and mothers, how do we express to them like, yo, like I'm trying to do this, but that's not where their mentality is. Like, what steps do we follow?
There will be friction. I'm not saying that there won't be friction, but every reasonable parent would like to see their kids prosper. The parents that are here can agree with me that reka mbivuge mu Kinyamulenge, data yaragiye inka, sibyo? Hariho benshi base baragiye inka hano, ariko akumva ko umwana we agomba kuja ku ishuri kugira ngo ataba nkawe. Did you get my point? My son doesn't have to be like me in order to consider myself as a successful parent. No. I just need to put him in a position to succeed. So the fact that you finding inspiration outside your community, outside your parent, as long as it's a good inspiration to make you a better person, to help you reach your potential and the goals that you have set, and you explain that, I don't see any parent that will go against that. So if for example, I have this professor that I look up to, or this doctor that has been my doctor for 10 years or 5 years, and I want to become like him, instead of becoming like my uncle who is rather a lawyer, but I feel in me that my passion is rather on this side. I don't see any parent that will go against that. One other thing is that when you believe in yourself, you don't get discouraged so easily. You persevere. I'm not telling you that this road will be easy. No. There are things that get into your way and you feel like I can just give up. Other people like me are just enjoying their lives. Why am I spending so many nights studying while others are enjoying? I haven't gone out for 2 weeks or 3 weeks or 2 months when others have gone out every weekend. However, when you face every single obstacle that you face, you find a way to overcome or to bypass that. It's like something that inspires me is the GPS when we drive. That lady, I once had a GPS with a male voice. I gave it away because I didn't like the male voice. But so my current GPS has a very, very nice female voice. And what I like about that lady is she is never tired of me. Like every time I miss the exit, it just says recalculating. And then it says, keep going, take the next exit. Like what it teaches me is that no matter where you are at life, there's always an option. So whenever I miss the exit or I don't take the exit I should have taken, I feel like this time, this lady told me 3 times, I'm a mile ahead, there is an exit, take right. Then when it's half a mile, she reminds me. Then when it's like close enough, take the exit, and I don't take it. But instead of getting mad, she just sits down, relaxes a little bit, and then say, recalculating. Then she gives me the way again. So that's how we should treat ourselves. There is no highway. There is always bumps on the road. But if you are determined, remember something I said at the beginning. We don't all have the same talents. We are not all as smart. You will always find people who are smarter than you, more talented than you, no matter where you are. I know people that that at some point in my life, I was like, I wish I was like so-and-so. But I'm not competing against them. I'm competing against myself. My goal is to become a better self every single day. And so, because I'm doing so, my goal is to compare myself with me yesterday, me last week, me last year. Even though we don't have the same talent, but we all have the same ability to believe in ourselves. We all have the same capacity to compete. I mean, not to compete, but to commit and to persevere in our commitment. How many of you are in are going through college right now? Great. How many are in undergraduate program? How many of you are doing masters? So great. Thank you. This is very encouraging. Okay? The degree you're earning today, in order to maintain it, the best way to maintain that degree up to date and to always have that degree shining is to get a higher degree. So today you have a bachelor degree, a Bachelor of Science degree in information technology or computer science or something. The best way to maintain that degree is if you have a master's in software engineering. Okay? That's the best way. And once you get that master's degree, the best way to keep it up to date, the best way to make sure that degree is always competitive and pushes you forward is if you just get another a doctorate. So you just patch it on top of that. Remember, you can win a lottery and become successful overnight, but that's not guaranteed. But education will guarantee your success.
So question.
Yes.
So you're saying education is key. So when you define what you mean by education? So education is a degree to you. That's what you're saying.
Mm-hmm. Keep going. I'm going to answer. Yeah.
Okay. So, but I highly disagree with that because there's a bunch of people that have more degrees than people would say at the thermometer, and they're the most unhappiest people. So when you're saying continue to add degree upon degree upon degree, that is not true success. That just means you have more degree than the next person. Just because you have more degrees does not mean you're more happy than me. Because you have more money than me does not make you more happier than me. So when we're comparing education to success, I think that's false. I think education helps you become successful, but I don't think that's what defines success. I don't think that's really a key to success.
Okay. I highly agree with you. I don't know how you highly disagree with me, but I highly agree with you. So in this sense, happiness can come from every angle of your life. And happiness does not mean how much money you earn. No. Happiness is a concept that is defined based on satisfaction, based on goals set and achieved which brings you some level of satisfaction. Success, on the other hand, is solely defined based on what you agree upon as goals. So I'm successful because the goals that I set for myself are met. That's success. Failure is when I set up a goal and I don't reach that goal.
Can you repeat that again?
Failure is when I set up a goal and I don't reach that goal. Or I have an ambition, I don't reach that ambition. I fail. Correct.
Right. That time. Learn from what you made mistakes in, get back.
That is correct. So when I say I agree with you in a sense that education is not the only way you can attain or you can define success or happiness. There are so many other ways. So hear me right, I have two things. One is education is not the only way, but it's the guaranteed way. I can become successful through so many other ways, but I can go through school and better my life. It's not the only way I can better my life, but it's a guaranteed way that I can better my life. Second, education is not through conventional school only. But the conventional way or the traditional way of school is the most accepted form of education. I don't know if you understand, you got my point? So I can train myself and I can tell you that Bill Gates never graduated from university, that Steve Jobs never graduated, and that is, those are exceptions. Those are exceptions. However, the most accepted form of education is the conventional form. It's the conventional form. So I'm not here to tell you this is the only path, but I'm just telling you that if you follow this path, at least you're guaranteed that you will earn a degree, you will better your life. What you do with that degree is another story. There are so many young ladies here that I'm very happy that you responded to the invitation. And before we go to the next point, let me just invite one of you here, Dr. Indatwa. I would like to invite you just for a few minutes to share your story. I would like her, and allow me to introduce her, even though she's from, she is from Phœnix, Arizona. Between my age and your age, there's like 20 years difference. And so you're looking at me and you're saying, of course he achieved that. He's as old as dirt, you know? And you feel like what I'm saying, it does not so much, it doesn't relate to you that much because there is that difference or generational gap and difference in age and stuff like that. But I would like to introduce Dr. Indatwa. She has a PhD in epidemiology. Should I start by that? So to me, what's inspiring is not just where we get, but where we get in comparison to where we came from. And the day you lose focus on where you came from, you lose your focus on where you're going. Because we should always celebrate even the partial victories. Knowing that I am here and I'm teaching at so-and-so university, it doesn't it's an incomplete information. But when you say ko navukiye mu bishigo kigira kwa karwirwa nkaba mpaye nigisha hanyanaka, that story is more complete. So to me it's an inspiration ko Nyandatwa ari umwana wo mu Rutabura akaba ahagaze hano after PhD muri epidemiology. So let's hear that story and let's get inspired.
Thank you. Mwiriwe mwese. Mrambabarira naje nkerejeho gato. Sinzi aho ntangirira. Ntago nari prepared kuvuga, ariko ndabona hano ari nko mu kirambi no kuganira. Okay. Magzengo. Okay, I will use English. As I was saying, I wasn't prepared to speak, but I see many brothers and sisters in Kinyamurenge navuga ko turi mu kirambi. We're just gonna have a little chat. Many people know my story. I mean, all of you knows my story. Who doesn't know me here? Oh. What? You guys don't know me? Okay. Okay, that's, I think we have a problem. Okay, as Dr. Freddy said, my name is Indatwa Aline. Most people know me as Nina. As he said, I have a PhD in public health with emphasis in epidemiology. My journey wasn't easy. As many of you are in school, you know that, going through school, especially here, it's not easy. As, an immigrant, I came here when I was 15, I believe. No, 16. So I started in high school, but halfway. I didn't get a chance to do the 4 full years in high school. I did 2 years in high school. I graduated from high school, and I went and got a job. And as many know, the jobs that we do here, we do all kinds of jobs. Actually, where I worked, it was a meat factory. And it was one of the hardest jobs I have ever done. So I worked for the summer. It was, I worked for 3 years, 3 months, I mean. I actually didn't ask how much time do I have, so I know how to manage that time. 15 minutes? Okay. All right, I have 15 minutes, so I will be as brief as possible. So I went to college. My experience in college was not the easiest. With just 2 years of high school, most of you know, when I came here, I didn't speak English at all. So when I was in high school, I had to learn English from scratch. So with just 2 years of learning English, English wasn't my strong suit, not at all. I always tell this story. The first essay that I wrote in college in my English, Composition 101, how many people have taken that class? Yeah, it was up to this point. I have that essay actually. My professor sent it to me last 2 years ago. I was applying for a fellowship at CDC, and I was looking for a recommendation. I reached out to him to write me a recommendation, and he sent me that essay. And when he emailed me, he was like, "You have come from far." I was going back to look at the essays you wrote in my class, and knowing that you are applying for a fellowship at CDC, you have come from far. And when I saw that email, I cried. And when I looked at that essay, a few years later, reading that essay really showed me how far I have come. At that point, I believed that I was the best because I was determined to go through school no matter what. But looking at that essay, I just learned that I wasn't the smartest, but the determination of doing it, the self-confidence of putting myself in those shoes and being in that classroom is what got me to where I am today. So never belittle yourself. Never look at yourself and be like, who am I to go and sit with these kids who grew up here, whose first language is English? Who am I? Never look at yourself like that. The moment you lose that self-confidence, you have lost yourself. Then you won't be able to go anywhere. You are your only competition. Every day, look yourself in the mirror and be like, I'm my only competition. I'm competing with me. The only person I have to beat is me, not these kids and those kids and everybody else around you. So I graduated from college, and I decided to go ahead and do a master's. I applied to graduate school. I got in. I started graduate school. And 2 years later, I graduated with a master's degree. I'm just fast forwarding because I cannot tell you, yeah, how many nights, how many long nights that I had to go through. Actually, when I was doing, I heard a question earlier, and I wanted to speak. Let me go back to it. We come from a community that doesn't really understand the importance of education. Well, some of them are coming along, but thinking about our parents or our great parents, they didn't have a chance to go to school, or at that point in their life, education was not that important. So when you have parents who are older, who don't understand the importance of school, sometimes you are challenged in so many ways. And especially for females. Females in our community, we're still considered as housemaids. Let me say that. Some of us are still considered as housemaids. If you walk in with your brother, you're all tired, you're coming from work or from school, the person they expect to go in the kitchen and do everything, it's you, the female. They won't look at your brother. So sometimes those little things put us at disadvantage. And sometimes you gotta pull yourself out of those environments. One of the best decisions I've ever made was to leave home and go on campus. That was one of the best decisions I ever made. And at that time, we were so fresh in the US, just 2 years in the country. I even had some parents tell my parents, "Ngumwana wanyu ngukwarananiranye nyine. Ukwaragiye nyine ngo arabataye hano aragiye ngo ntiyosomera hano." You know, those little things. But I believe truly, if I was home, and our people, abantu baza kubasura batanabateganyije, waba ugiye gukora homework bakaba barakubwiye ngo ja gucumba, ja kugira gutya. So those little distractions, sometimes they take you away from things that you were supposed to do. So for those who are still young, I would encourage you, highly encourage you, to leave home, go on campus and study. And I can truly guarantee you, once you spend those 4 years away from home, on campus, studying and get your bachelor degree, nothing else can stop you from going and get a master's and get a PhD. Because at that point, you have mastered the system. You are so confident. You are looking at yourself. I navigated this journey by myself with nobody here by my side. I was living on campus alone. I would go home to visit. Sometimes you don't even get the support. In the 4 years that I was on campus, I can tell you how many times my parents visited me, not because they don't love me, but because they just didn't think it was necessary, because I would come home, sometimes, but they didn't think it was important for them to come to even see where I live. So those are the little emotional support we don't get as Banyamulenge. Let me say that. I had roommates almost every weekend. Their parents would come over. Even something as little as bringing them juice, that helps, but we don't get that sometimes. And sometimes what helps us the most, it's knowing our reality, understanding who we are as a community and how we do things, and try to understand those realities and use them to our advantage. That was one thing. As I was saying, so going back to your question, sometimes you gotta pull yourself away and do what you gotta do, period. You know. The other thing, so I did a master's, I graduated, and as a female, I reached a point where if I can remember, everyone who attended my graduation, how people love to talk. Them speeches are really long, and everyone gave a speech, and they will say all the good things, and at the end of the speech, get married. As a female, those are some of the things. I'm mostly here to inspire female, because I know some of the struggles we face as females in our community. It's like our end goal is just to get married. People look at you, they see a cow. You need to get married. Like, that's your end goal. That's the reality. We can sugarcoat it, but at the end of the day, a female child, when we see them, their end goal is, when are you gonna get married? If you're not married, sometimes you're not even considered. They're like, even right now as a PhD, I have a PhD, but I've walked in some rooms where people tell me, I can't tell you how many times I have heard that. I would laugh about it, but it's sad. In reality, it's sad. When I go home and I think about it, I'm like, I laughed at this, but but sometimes I wish I could just stop that person and tell them that's not cool. You can say that. You don't know my life. You don't know what I've been through. So you can speak to my degree like that. So, but like I said, we understand our community. Maybe some of you, I was privileged to be able to grow up back home. I was born back home and spent 16 years of my life back home, and spent the rest of my life here. So I have both experience. So I can understand my community much better than kids who are being born here and growing here. So, but one of the best thing you can do is try to learn more about your community and understand them, so that can help you to navigate some of the challenges that we face, especially females, women in our community. So I went back to, the marriage parts with all the speeches, people who gave those speeches. It didn't get to me, obviously. I'm still single, I'm not married. But I decided to go back to school. And when I decided to go back to school, to be honest, when I graduated with a master's, I didn't plan on going back to school. My plan was to work, make some money, maybe get married down the road, and have kids, live happily ever after. But just for the sake of, when I look around, we are in this country of opportunities, where I remember how parents struggled to even pay our school fees back home. So when I think, or when I look about all the opportunities we're given in this country, that really pushed me to go forward so I can one day become an example. When I think about my community, at that time when I graduated, I didn't know any female Mulenge who, I know a few who had, master's degree, but in my family, I didn't know any, like I didn't know even anyone who had a master's degree. I was the first. I'm the youngest in my family, but I was the first to obtain that. So that kind of gave me wings to fly and wanted to become this example that many of you kids can look up to. And I wanted to continue. I remember I went to enroll in school. I didn't even tell anybody. And I started classes 4 months later. I told my parents, by the way, I'm back in school. No, they didn't. I love my parents because they've always been supportive, like very, very supportive. I can, like recently, 2 months ago when I was home, it was my first time that my mom ever asked me, it was the first time in my life, you know? So that itself just shows you how supportive my parents are. But I decided to go ahead and did a PhD. And to be honest with you, that journey wasn't easy. It was probably one of the hardest thing I've been through. I think he knows sometimes he's the person that I'm related to that maybe I have bothered a couple times. I've called a couple times to ask for advice here and there. But sometimes when we don't have these people to look up to in our community, sometimes we don't even know who to call when we are stuck, you know. I didn't have any female in my community who I can call sometimes and be like, you know, let's say, for example, if my parents were putting pressure on me to get married while I'm here trying to pursue a goal, you know, just having that one person that I can call and ask them, how did you overcome this? What did you do? How did you deal with this? I didn't have that. But I wanted to be that for so many young kids in our community. And here I am. I did it. And if I can do it, you can do it too. I am not special. I am not that smart. I mean, some people say I'm smart, but I'm not that smart. I'll tell you the truth. You know, going through education in this country, it's all about self-confidence, determination, and resilience. When you believe in yourself, there's nothing you cannot do. When you are determined, like he was saying, there's always a plan B, there's always a plan Z. You can go through all the alphabet to find a plan, and you're gonna find it. And you can achieve any goal you put forward. So as young kids who are still navigating the system, we are here. Ask questions. I always make myself available. I can tell you in the past 1 year, I can tell you how many phone calls I have received, how many emails I have responded to, text messages, people from our community seeking for advice, seeking for just a talk. Let's talk, you know. And to be honest, that's how I define my success. I don't need millions, you know. I mean, millions would be better, but I'll get there one day. But really, my success, or what put a smile on my face more than anything else, is having a conversation with someone from my community and I help them move from point A to point B, period. And I have had testimonies, kids who write to me and be like, I did a presentation on you today as a female from my community who got here, and you are my inspiration. I hope to be like you one day. That itself is the biggest achievement of my lifetime, like, period. So if you ever need help, I'm always available. But one thing I can tell you, dream big. Keep dreaming. And when you dream it, you can achieve it. Thank you. Anybody have a question? Sure.
Please ask her, not me.
Wow. Nina, you are an inspirational.
Thank you.
Wow. I wish there was a many girls in here than we have. One thing I want to mention, first of all, congratulations.
Thank you.
And I don't even know how I haven't called you because when I saw your speech, when there was a convention for our community, I requested your phone so I can speak to you. I'm sorry because of the time here. I didn't do it, but I admire you.
Thank you. I appreciate
Okay,
it.
and one thing I want to say from what you just said, I don't think any parent these days here in America ever forced their girls to get married. But we always ask ourselves about our girls. You will see younger girls coming to this country, graduate from high school, they are in college, who don't have any ambition to take the opportunities they have in this country, which we never get back home. Yes, on our time, our parent was behind us to get married. I remember myself when I was going to school, my mama used to tell me that all the girls of your age are getting married and you keep leaving home just because you want to go to school, because your dad is telling you to go to school. Our parents didn't understand the school. They were behind us so we can get married and quit school. But nowadays, I don't think any of these younger girls that you see here ever got that message from their parent. Or the parent, we want our kid to go to school. We want our kid to be successful. But for some reason, the girls that we have here in America, in our community, they going back on the time and maybe back behind me. When I was growing up with your sister, I went to school with her sister. That time we like school. We were trying to understand the importance of going to school. But this time, you will see younger girls after school. They don't miss any school fees. They have a financial aid. They can take loans. But some they get calls from boys that I love you. They don't think anything
Game
anymore.
over.
Everything is finished. They can't think that I can go to school and still get married after I finish my school. We really sometime, I can ask you if you can have more talks with the younger girls. I don't want them to be lying that we have a pressure from our parents to say that you have to get married. All the parents in this country, we all need our kids to go to school. Nobody is pushing them to bring us cows. We just, but they don't understand that. If you can take some more time and get closer with the younger girls and understand why they don't understand that they have to go to be educated. Thank you.
Thank you so much. And that's something I plan on doing, to be honest. And I know here, there are many girls here, but girls in our community tend to be shy. So the probability of them even asking questions that they would want to ask with everyone here is very low. So I plan to do that, to have very intimate conversation with girls so they can be able to talk and be free to ask questions. And yeah.
I'm a girl. I'm not a girl, right? I'm not a girl. I'm a boy. But I have two sisters. And so reka mbivuge mu Kinyamulenge. Gushakwa ntawe ubyanze. Sibyo? ariko no gushakwa buri umwe wese yumva yifuza gushakwa neza. Mwari muzi ko n'amashuri yabafasha gushakwa neza. Nimba urangije high school ugashaka gushakwa, umuhungu wese kuva ku, and no offense to the job we do, nakoze muri Baba Food amezi menshi. Umuhungu wese urwego yoba arimwe wese arumva yagushaka kandi azaza kugusaba. Nimba urangije bachelor degree, hari abazagutekereza bakikuramwo bonyine bataranakwegera kubera ko bumva ko hari urwego ugezemo. Nugera muri maîtrise ni nk'akayungiro, uba umaze gusheburura benshi bumva ko batokwegera, sibyo? Nugira PhD hazaba hasigaye bakeya. No, but I'm serious. Ibi mpaye nkubwira, ibi mpaye mbabwira nibyo mbwira bashiki banje. Mwige kwiga ntabwo kuri exclusive no gushakwa. Kwiga ahubwo kuri complementaire kuragufasha gushakwa neza. Murakoze.
Ikindi nababwira nuko success y'abana, bimwe mu bibazo duhura nabyo nuko ba mama batize. Iyo ba mama baza kwiga, uza mu Kinyamurenge umugore ni urera umwana, so ibaze kuba ugize amahirwe mama wakaba yarize. Icyo ni iki, gushaka nta kintu kizima nko gushaka umugore wize. Biba biri guarantee ko success y'abana bawe iba iri almost guarantee. Urumva? So icyo ni ikindi tudakunze guha agaciro cyane mu Kinyamurenge. Umugore wese ni umugore, ariko ibyo ni ibintu tugomba, nimba dushaka guhindura bimwe mu bintu tubona muri community yacu bitagenda neza, icyo numva ari nk'ikintu twatangiriraho. Urumva, ni ikintu gikomeye cyane kandi cyabasha kugeza community yacu ku bintu byinshi bikomeye. Ariko topic yo gushakwa ni ikindi gihe twoyitindaho, ariko it's very important. Yes.
We can't hear you.
So I help with the youth here, and the biggest issue when I see when it comes to with the girls at least, is the issue that you hit on. The issue that when the girls come in, then they're almost getting trained to be housewives, right? They're not getting, like, the brothers and the older, like the guys almost kind of get away with things, but the girls are getting taught how to almost to just be a wife. The issue doesn't have to do with them falling in love. I get the whole thing. If they get education, guys will follow them. The reason why I'm speaking about this is because that's what I hear from my youth. I'm not gonna pinpoint anybody specifically, but that's the issue. And I think that's the girls need to learn, like, yo, yes, like a wife has their duty, but it's not to just be a housewife, right? You're more capable than what you think you're capable of. And the thing is, the parents are almost training them up from a young age how to just be housewives, how to just take care of kids, how to cook, how to clean. Like, so the issue is there's this expectation of you have to get the same degree as the males, but you also have to be a housewife. And to me, that's kind of like, that's really tough. That's putting a bunch of burden on these women. Like, the women already have a bunch of burdens on them, but now the expectations of their education, and they have to do all the house chores. To me, that doesn't make any sense. And so I think it's more of teaching them, like, yo, like, yes, get your education, but you're not just created to be a housewife as well too. Like, that's where I would like for you to talk to the teams about, because I feel like you've kind of gone to the aspect of your life, and that's just a statement that I wanted to make, because
I totally agree with you. And like I said, our issues as girls in our community, they're chronic, because from the moment you were born, it's like I said, it's like our end goal is to get married. That's it. So from the time we are born, that's what we are trying to do, but things are changing, and we are the only ones who can change our narrative, and when I talk to girls, that's what I tell them. We are the only people who can change our narrative. And by doing that is by pursuing all of these things we're not trying to do. Dreaming big, you can still, I know how to do all the house chores. I can be I can be a housewife if I want to, but I can do all of that and I can still work full time and I can still go to school full time. When I did my master's, I was doing 2 jobs here in Arizona. I was doing it. I used to work with him. I worked a 8 to 5 job with him. I'll go to school after that, and I would sleep at a group home at night. I did that for 6 months, doing 2 full-time jobs and doing a master's. So we have so much potential than we know, you know. But the moment we limit ourselves, and that's because, like I said, self-confidence, self-determination. As female, and when I said accepting our reality, we will still see people in our community who still sees us as housemates. But we need to change our narrative by proving, it's like in this cycle, we are kind of proving ourselves that we can do all of those things. And maybe at one point, our community will give us a chance to, equality. I don't think we ever come in our community. Maybe in the next generation, who knows? But we have so much potential. Women, especially, if you look at the trends right now, there are more women who are getting educated in our community than ever before. Graduating with master's degree, going higher and higher. I talk to women who are enrolling in master's degree these days like never before. So that's the change I want to see. And you want to speak to me about that? Give me a call, really. Thank you. Go ahead. Yeah, that's a good question. And yeah, that's a very good question. Choosing a path, it's one of the hardest things, especially when you don't have guidance. I navigated it on my own, but it all started with a dream. As a kid, I wanted to be a doctor, a practicing doctor. So when I graduated from high school and went to college, I was a pre-med my first year. And after completing my first year, I shadowed at a hospital. After shadowing and after that summer, I concluded that I wasn't meant to stay in the hospital. So no offense to doctors. I have so much respect for them, but that's the moment I realized that I wasn't meant for that. So I went back to college. I changed my major, but since I'm very passionate about health, I wanted something very close to that. And that's how I went into public health. But it was a journey. I navigated it on my own. But these days, like I said, we have people who can help you navigate that. It's very easy. But I always tell people that do something that you're passionate about. Do something that gives you butterflies. Just don't do something because somebody else is doing it or because somebody told you to do it. We have some people who become doctors and they end up not practicing because it's not their thing, simply because they were forced, maybe by their parent, to do it. So I always tell people, do what your heart tells you to do, period. Any question from the ladies? Sure.
Okay, so a question for both of you guys. Is this on? Okay, so a question for both of you guys. At what points in your educational process and like navigating the field that you wanted to work in, did you face rejection and how did you actually deal with that? Because I feel like for myself, I take rejection very, very hard when it comes to like my actual goals and aspirations for my career in the future. So how do you navigate that? Because I could imagine, say you're applying to a medical school or your PhD program. If you're rejected, what do you do? How do you regroup and push forward other than like the advice of prayer that we receive?
Just recalculate. I got your point. I was just teasing.
Definitely, rejection is just part of life. So as you grow older, you kind of just learn to deal with it. When you're still young, sometimes you take it to heart, and it's hard to deal with it. But the moment you start applying for jobs, you send 100 application and you never even hear back. That's when it start becoming normal. Rejection becomes normal to a point where you see it as nothing. And like I said, when you are someone who is determined, that's when you be like, next, you go to the next thing. That it's as simple as that. But it is something, it is something you have to deal with. And for some people, it's they take it very hard on themselves to a point where it can even crush them. But me personally, most rejection that I mean, we come from a community where everything we get, we have to fight for. Nothing comes easy. Nothing is handed to you like that. So everything we get, you have to fight very hard and work hard for it in order to get it. So that kind of trains your mind on how to accept some of these rejections you get in life.
What am I going to say after that? So my strategy is this. Whenever I face rejection, or whenever I face a mountain that is so hard to climb, I go back to the day I made the decision and the elements that I wrote down that motivated me to make that decision. Usually you find the source there. So there is a day you made that decision and say, I want to become a doctor. And you made that decision. In your diary, you put down the reasons why. Those reasons, knowing that this journey is not going to be easy, this degree is not going to be handed to me, like she said, I will fight for it. And fighting does not mean it's plastic bullet, it's real bullet fighting. So knowing that, I will always go back to the day I made that decision, and then I will question myself. What motivated me to make that decision? Why did I choose this path? And then I will revise all those decisions and I will say, are they still worth the challenge I'm facing today? Or should I give up? And usually you'll find within yourself the right strength to overcome. So that's one part. I'll give you an example. The first year of when I was pursuing my doctorate in pharmacy, the first year there was this class. So I was just fresh from Africa, and my English was not. If you think my English is bad right now, you think twice. It was even worse. So they gave us a research paper, and it was supposed to be around 20 pages or so. And the professor said most students go really far away from what they need to write. So once you get to 10 pages, send it to me, I'll look it up, and then I'll tell you whether you need to continue or you need to recalculate and restart. So I sent it to her, and this was at the University of Colorado in Denver. And she sent it back to me and she said, your ideas are excellent. I can see that you're a smart boy, but your English is not at the doctoral level. P.S. Advice, you should drop, go back and take 2 years of English and then come back in the program. It was so crushing. Like, talking about rejection, I didn't sleep that night. Okay? Yeah, I didn't sleep. Like my wife was looking at me, Niki chabaye, ninde wapfuye, nta wapfuye. So I was so down. Then I collected myself. I didn't respond to her for 2 days. Then I went back to where I was born. Nibuka ko navukiye mu Bishigo. Nibuka ko igihe navutse life expectancy yanje uko yareshaga n'umuntu wandebaga akanyifuriza ikintu cyiza yari kuvuga ngo uyu mwana ndamwifuriza kuzatunga nk'ijana. Nicyo kintu yari kunyifuriza gikomeye. Nibuka ibibazo nanyuzemo byose, nibuka naho ngeze ndavuga ngo if I took no for an answer, I wouldn't be where I am. Iyo nza kwemera ko ikimpagarika cyose kimpagarika, simba ndahondi bunyine. So kandi mbona ko yotuma banyirukana muri programme. So ndahindura narrative, mbishiramwe akantu ka race gatoya nyine kugira ngo ni justifie, muraza kubyumva nyine aho ngaho muze kuhakuraho. Ndamwandikira and I copied the dean. Ndamubwira ngo what you wrote to me is not only is it discouraging, but it's very unfair. I have spent 6 months in this program. So far, I've been an A student. I don't know how I was accepted in the program, and I've been an A student, and you are asking me to go back. Just to let you know that if I heard every voice that discouraged me, I wouldn't be where I am today. I would rather challenge my limits rather than limit my challenges. And I stopped there. And then the dean took it really seriously, called me, started counseling me, and the next day I was in a different class and a different class. The day I graduated in Denver, you can choose who put the hood on your head. You can choose a doctor. He can be from your family or from the faculty. I chose that lady. And after she put the hood on my head, she took the microphone and said, I learned from this boy. And she repeated what happened that day. It was like maybe 4 years after.
In a nutshell, when you know your why, there's even a class you take down the road to learn what your why really is. I don't even know how many essays I've wrote about knowing what your why is. So the moment you get to master and know your why, the reason why, that's the only thing that will always get you out of those rejections and those down moments. Sure.
All right, so my question was, well, we know we have opportunities out there and we have different options, but as we know, all of us don't know where to look that from. Like, we don't know where to look. And when we don't know where to look, we don't know what kind of questions to ask, you know? And I was asking, who's there to talk to us about that? And who's there to encourage our young youth to be involved in everything, like school-wise too? How do we get involved? Like, most of us feel like we're left out. Like, we could be doing big things, but we don't know how to start and where to look. So that was my question.
Yeah, ask the next one. So.
Okay, thank you so much. First of all, just want to thank you, both of you. Thank our leaders and our community to prepare this event. Can we give them hands? I'm happy to bring my two sons here today, so they can learn. I hope one day they will standing there one day and speak to many people in our community to inspire them as well as they
Amen
are
to that.
inspired today. So what you did today is kind of a planting a seed in our sons and daughters, and I'm hope that the transformation will follow. My question is, I have two questions, but let me ask one so because we are so many. There is a false narrative here, especially in our community. As we know, we have some people who came from Africa and they are educated. and they're doing the same job as the other people who are not educated. And people start thinking that education it doesn't have value because we all kind of do the same job. How can you advise our youth to go further, to not listen to that narrative? Another question B of that question, we have, as I can relate it to one, the question I was asking with the young lady there, we don't have many counselor or people to look after in our community. So people, when they go to school, sometimes they misoriented, if I can say, they follow education based on the other person journey. And after they graduate, they have a hard time to find a job in that field they have education in. They end up coming back to same job that they were working prior to go to school. And one day I spoke to one young man who graduated and he has a bachelor's degree. And they said, I can find job in my field. Then I decided to come back to do this job. How can we learn how to choose a field that can provide maybe an opportunity to get a job than just pursue a degree as everybody else? Thank you.
We will have another short presentation right after this. So there are two questions that are being asked that have been asked right now. Let's answer those questions and take one more question, and then we'll move to the second presentation, and then we will ask questions. If you want, we can spend the night here. I don't care.
Okay, I want to answer Desiree to one of his questions, which I already hear from people in our community, that they don't want to go to school. We have a young men who come here like they are under the undergraduate in Africa, they are in the university. Once they come here, they choose not to go back to school because I know it's hard, they have a family, they have to work, but there's some people who don't even have a family and they choose to work 2 jobs because they think they have a lot of money with those 2 jobs that they don't want to waste their time going to school. And they say, we are working with the people who's the bachelor degree back home and young people who graduated don't want to go to school. But that is lying. I can give myself an example. When I came here, I went to school. I didn't go far, but I went to school. I got a degree, if I can say. For that, I can work 3 days, and I work only 3 days, and I make a living. But you who didn't go to school, to make a living here, you have to work maybe 2 jobs to make a living. So there's no point you can say that I'm not gonna go to school because I'm working together with the people who went to school.
I wanted to quote on that. There is a misconception, to be honest, and it comes back to what I said. You really need to go to school and choose something that you really want, something that gives you butterfly. There's no such a field that is easy to get a job than any other. People will tell you, oh, go study nursing, hakuzabura kazi. Do you know how, like, the journey they have to go through? You know, every field is very competitive. There's someone better than you out there. There will always be somebody you know. So every field is very competitive. You just have to be confident and determined to go, to keep dreaming big and to go there. One thing that I find in our people, they think things will just be handed to them just like that. And hari ikindi kintu tugira muri twe abanyamurenge, ntago turi humble, tuza twiyemera somehow, you know. Ugasanga abantu ntibari humble, akaba atonabaza n'undi muntu, urumva atakwegera undi muntu ngo amubaze kandi azi ko amurusha, ukamusanga gusa yigize ibiti n'amabuye kandi ndaca arico. You know, no, that's the reality. We see it every day, you know. Ugasanga, like, I work for the state. I'm a position to hire. I hire people. Urumva. Ariko ugasanga umuntu karashaka akazi ntiyompamagara. Urumva, wenda ngo ambaze ese ukora muri state, utuzi mufite ko barahiringa. To get to the state, I had a master's degree. But, and sometimes one thing I learned about this country, you gotta humble yourself, and sometimes you gotta start somewhere very low, that you are even very overqualified, but to put your foot in the door. And once you put your foot in the door, the sky is the limit. Urumva. When I started working at the state, I was in a position, I had a master's degree. I was in a position someone with an associate degree can do. 3 months later, I was promoted. 6 months later, I got promoted again. A year later, I got promoted. So sometimes it's a journey. It's not like everything will just be handed to you. But you gotta be able to walk that journey. And it's part of education. We never stop learning. And through all of those things, you keep learning. Ariko abantu biwacu akenshi ya nkuko bivuze ari abantu benshi bagenda they get a bachelor degree, ugasanga nimba yohereje 100 applications, abaye rejected, that's it. Agasubira muri group home, and once he becomes comfortable there, that's it. So let's not be comfortable. Let's chase that. And if you can wize really nimba umvari kini kurimo wize ukunze, you can be successful in that. You can even start your own thing and be successful. Be your own boss. That is because you studied something you really like. Another question that the young lady asked, really, navigating the system is something, it's hard. It is not easy. And some of those things, like sometimes I really wish I can go back to being young so I can pursue all of these opportunities that I see that I didn't have a chance to pursue when I first came into this country because of language barrier, because of fear, you know. Most of the things that we don't do is because of fear and low self-esteem and low self-confidence, you know, and we put ourselves in a box, ugasanga twihaye, a name tag that doesn't even fit our description, and that prevents us from going and exploring and learning more and go further. I believe you're still in high school, right? Freshman college. The first place you can start, it's your advisors. Talk to your advisors, many advisors as you can talk to. You can go to job fairs. You can look at scholarship. Better yet, give me a call. You know, like I said, I don't know why we fear to approach people, why we fear to ask. Ask somebody. They can, I'm one of those people who always tell myself, you can find me talking to a 5-year-old because yeah, you would think I'm 5, but I can learn something from anybody. So the moment we humble ourselves and we ask questions, so every person in this room can teach me something that I didn't know. So always ask, and when you ask, you find out things that you didn't know. That's as simple as.
Thank you, thank you. I think you should get her number. Sister, I think you should get her number. There are things we learn from internet, and there are things that we learn from some people we trust. So it means a lot. So I don't have an answer for you, but I'll give you her. She's everything. To answer your question, I always advise people that you should be driven by your passion, not by someone else or some other people's success, because you never know what their path is or has been. Just because you see someone in a position of success or desirable position, please don't envy that, because you don't know how much they had to endure to get there. Maybe if you know their path, you will not even desire that position. We are all created unique. I think that if God had someone that resembled me in every way possible, he wouldn't have created me. He created me because there was a need that only me can meet. Say amen to that. Yeah. This is a church, right? So I can say that. Say amen to that. Yeah. So let's move to the second topic, and here we'll end the recording. Let's put our hands together for Nina. Thank you. John. Good? Yes. Okay.